They were all, of course, concerned about Antifa violence, which we have seen in force in recent episodes there. Protests were still held. There were 9 arrests made, but the radical, violent anti-fascists were not around to stop the event. Here are some highlights of what Ben Shapiro did get to say last night in Berkeley. Watch.
Thank you to the morons who put up that sign across the way and says, "We say no to your white supremacist." Well, I say thank you because I also say no to white supremacist. And if you stick around long enough in this speech, you'll hear me do exactly that. Thanks to Antifa and the supposed anti-fascist brigade for exposing what the radical left truly is, all of America is watching because you guys are so stupid. It's horrifying, I am grateful, and you can all go to hell, you pathetic, lying, stupid jackasses. As far as the idea I'm a white supremacist, you see the thing on the top of my head, right? This funny hat. It's called a yarmulke. Hey, white supremacists aren't that fond of it, which is why I was, according to the Anti-Defamation League, the #1 recipient of white supremacist anti-Semitism on the internet among journalists in 2016. But no, I'm a white supremacist now. Because this is the way the left works, right? If you don't agree with them, everyone's a white supremacist. The reason that I am here is because fascism does not own this university. Because there are students who do want to hear differing views, who don't believe that the First Amendment should die under the jackboots and Birkenstocks of a bunch of anarchist communist pieces of garbage.
Here now an exclusive, Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com. Ben, good to see you tonight, and good to see some of what happened in there. Do you think that, any of the Antifa folks or people who were, very much against what you were there to do, were they inside the arena? Could you sense that?
Well, I don't think they were inside the arena. What we were told by the police is that there may have been Antifa members in the crowd, but they weren't actually going to reveal themselves because there were actual rules on the books that the cops were now enforcing that if you put a mask down, they were going to arrest you immediately. So the way Antifa works is they like to infiltrate civilian crowds. They pop out, they put on their mask, they do something violent, they pop back into the crowd, and then they disappear. That's how they work. The cops weren't having any of that last night. This was really a tribute to the UCPD and the Berkeley PD for doing their jobs. When they do their jobs, when there's law and order, free speech can happen at Berkeley. When they don't, Antifa reigns.
There were some arrests. Let's put up the pictures of the mug shots that were out there earlier, and I know you tweeted about these young folks as well. There they are. There they are. Smiling young folks who got arrested, I think, for having some kind of weapon on them. I don't know if it was a brick or, it didn't exactly describe it, but there they are. What do you think?
And the best that life has to offer. I mean, obviously, this is the cream of America. Apparently, some were arrested for having signs that had sticks on the back of them. One person was arrested for having some sort of baton in his backpack. One was arrested for spitting on a police officer. So the idea that if the police hadn't been there, there would have been violence, I think that's probably true, given the fact that all of Berkeley was basically shut down. I mean, there were businesses shutting early yesterday. The Bank of America actually boarded up its own ATMs because they were concerned that Antifa was going to destroy the ATMs again. Antifa, again, they've been led by the city to believe that they rule the city. And last night was the first time that the police were actually allowed to engage in a show of force, saying you don't rule the city, and if you try to violate the law, we'll arrest you. I mean, I talked to a bunch of police officers yesterday. They were really, really happy that for the first time, the leftist administration at Berkeley and in the city of Berkeley allowed them to do their jobs.
Well, maybe they figured out how to do this, and maybe you helped them to get there. I know there's a bunch of speakers, including Steve Bannon and Ann Coulter, who are scheduled to speak there in coming weeks. So we'll see if maybe they've learned how to make this work. I want to ask you one quick question about the ESPN thing as well, because today there was an internal memo that was leaked, and let's put some of it up on the screen, by the leadership at ESPN. Okay. The ESPN president, in a memo to staff, said that ESPN is about sports. It is not a political organization. And obviously that was in reference to Jamila Hill, the woman who said that the president's a white supremacist. What do you think?
It's absurd. Of course ESPN's a political organization. I've been calling them MSNBC with footballs for years because that's basically what they are. You can't turn on a broadcast on ESPN without getting 45 minutes about the wonders of Colin Kaepernick or the heroism of Caitlyn Jenner. So for that, I mean, they fired Mike Ditka and Kurt Schilling basically for saying things that were mildly right-wing. The idea they're not political is just absurd. By the way, I think that Jamel Hill should keep her job because I think that as long as ESPN is going to be overtly political with Jamel Hill, I think they should hire back Ditka. I think they should hire back Schilling. The whole thing is ridiculous.
So do you think the pressure on them is making any difference? The president tweeted about it as well. So, is that why this memo was produced, or is it just lip service?
Well, I do think that over the past few months, there's been a lot of pressure on ESPN to demonstrate that they're not a partisan political hack network, but that's what they are, and it's not really working very well. As far as the president, I mean, I really don't think the government ought to be getting involved in telling private corporations how to run themselves.
All right, Ben, thank you very much.